Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on the Box on Beltway Podcast Network. And of course, the Box on Beltway Podcast Network is always heard on Spreaker.com, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. We're on TuneIn. We're on Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict. We're also on Spotify. And we're hoping to get on Audible. And you can go to Alexa and say, play Boxing Along the Beltway. You can hear this very good podcast, as I do say so myself. We thank you for joining us as always. And this week, we are going to talk about the really tough but very credible losses for a couple of Beltway boxers this week. And we're also going to do something a little different this week. Not going to have any tributes to any local boxers. We're going to talk about some of the best boxers, not necessarily the best boxers really, but my favorite boxers from out of town. One of them is, and I think will be one of the better boxers that ever come into this area. But these boxers are boxers who either have just fought here and performed very, very well, or they have fought here, performed well, and faced some of our better Beltway boxers and always given them a tough bout, and sometimes have defeated them. So, it'll be interesting to see. We're going to talk about my 5 favorite out-of-town boxers. And then we're going to give tributes. We had a tough week this week. A couple of really legendary names, one from pro football, one from pro wrestling, passed away this week. We're going to talk about them a little bit in this podcast, so you bear with me. Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network brought to you as always by Real-Time Pain Relief from boxers to ballerinas. For shoulder pain and muscle strain, everything between. Boxing Along the Beltway recommends Real-Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. Go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief. You get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief, now endorsed by 2-time World Heavyweight Champion Big George Foreman. So don't forget to try George Foreman's knockout formula for Real-Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. She has great weight loss tips. She has great jewelry and great trading methods. All at Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Well, this past week, we've had a couple of Beltway boxers that performed very well in defeat in some pretty big bouts. Big bouts for them, anyway. First of all, this past Wednesday, September 23rd, the sexy Albanian Genc Pllana out of Hagerstown, Maryland. He's super middleweight. He dropped an 8-round unanimous decision to undefeated Maidel Sando of Nashville, Tennessee, by way of Las Tunas, Cuba. Of course, Genc Pllana, native of Kosovo. And this was Wednesday night at the Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles, California. And the bout was televised by FS1. It was opening night of a triple header there. And the thing about Genc Pllana, this is something I noticed when he was an amateur. Pllana has a very, very unorthodox style. And I remember in the amateurs, he got into a little bit of trouble, not losing bouts so much, but in his way of boxing, it caused a little bit of problems. I know his attitude at that point caused a little bit of problems with some of the folks in the Tony Valley Association of USA Boxing in the area. But his attitude has totally changed. There's no question about that. But his style hasn't. And it worked for the amateurs. It threw a lot of amateurs off because they had never seen anything like that before. Now he's in the pros. And I think really he's gotten to a point where he's facing boxers who are just smarter and they're more experienced and they've seen more. And I think that may have a little bit cost Genc Pllana the win over Maidel Sando. Sando really fought well, to his credit. Pllana got off to a good start in the first round. He started laying some body shots, but Sando was able, by the mid part of the 8-round contest, he was able to walk down Pllana using a hard right hand, back Pllana up throughout the contest. Matter of fact, I remember one time snapped his head back. I really thought he was going down. I mean, give him credit. He did show he had a very good chin. That's one thing Pllana did show. He had a very good chin, but he was just, I won't say outclassed, but because he did try hard, and I know his trainer, 3-time world heavyweight world welterweight and junior middleweight champion Simon Brown was definitely urging him on and trying to get him to do some things. But I think it was a step up for Pllana. He needed to take, and now he kind of sees where he is and knows where he has to work on going forward. So it wasn't a tough situation for him as far as he was overmatched and underclassed, but he needs some work. He needs some work, and he has some work to do, and he should know that now. Sando won this bout by scores of 80-72, 79-73, and 78-74. I didn't think 78-74. I don't think the bout was that close, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought Sando really pretty much dominated the bout. Pllana's record now falls to 8-2-1, 4 KOs, while Sando's still undefeated, 10-0, 7 KOs. So tough break for Pllana, but again, something he'll learn from in the future. Another person who will learn some work, there's some situations and learn how to kind of bounce back from a loss. This is the first time he did that. And that's Cobia Soldier Breedy, the featherweight out of Clinton, Maryland, by way of Bridgetown, Barbados. He lost a close 12-round split decision to Tuksut King Tug Nyambayar of Los Angeles, California, by way of Mongolia. That was on Saturday at the Mohegan Sun Casino in Uncasville, Connecticut. This bout was a featherweight title eliminator bout that was shown on Showtime. Now, Breedy got off to a really good start in this bout. He pressured Nyambayar in the opening round, but Nyambayar, who was an Olympic silver medalist in 2012, he landed a short right hand about 5 seconds to go in the round, and it dropped Breedy. That was for the first time. Then the second time, Nyambayar would drop Breedy with a left hand in the second round. But Breedy, to his credit, stayed in the fight, and he pressured Nyambayar very, very well throughout the fight. I don't think he landed enough to give him the win on my unofficial scorecard, but he did do well. He fought very well. He was not intimidated. He really, really performed very well. In fact, one judge thought he won the bout by a score of 115-111. Now, I don't agree with Breedy winning the bout. I thought Nyambayar won it, but I definitely don't agree with that score. I don't know where they got 115-111. That means basically Breedy won just about every round other than the two where he got knocked down. That didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, so I didn't understand that. The other judges, however, saw the contest for Nyambayar 114-112 and 114-113. So a pretty close decision for Nyambayar. So Nyambayar remains the number one contender for WBC champion Gary Russell Jr. And, of course, Nyambayar's first pro loss was against Russell Jr. in a title bout back in February. So we'll see if that happens again. As we talked about last couple weeks here on the podcast, Russell looks like he's going for bigger and better things. He's trying to go after the money, going after bigger opponents. So I'm not sure if Nyambayar is going to get a second chance at Gary Russell Jr. We'll have to wait and see. Breedy's now 15-1, 5 KOs. Nyambayar 12-1 with 9 KOs. So those are the two updates from this week. Right now, no one boxing at this time coming up until October. That's when Malik Hawkins is back in action on October 10th. And, of course, Gervonta Davis is on a card, heading out in the card on October 24th against Leo Santa Cruz. And I've heard that Malik Warren and possibly Lorenzo Simpson are on that card as well, October 24th. So we'll have to wait and see. The Malik Hawkins fight is a Showtime bout, and the Davis Santa Cruz bout is a pay-per-view, Showtime pay-per-view. So we'll give you more information as we get closer and closer to those dates. Over the years that I've been doing this, over some 30-some years that I've been doing this, one of the best things that I've been able to kind of experience has been some of the out-of-town boxers from around the country who've come here on a regular basis to face primarily our Beltway boxers. Going back to the boxing spotlight days, I never forget there were two guys, they were twins, by the name of the Whitley brothers, Darren and Derek Whitley. They were twin brothers out of Massachusetts, and they were known as Double Impact. And they would give our boxers fits all throughout. They wouldn't beat them, but they would give the Beltway boxers fits for many, many months, and would fight them on a regular basis. We've had people in the past who have been so good. I mean, Benji Singleton was one from North Carolina who would fight a lot of our Beltway boxers. And these are a lot of these boxers are the type of boxers that our boxers needed to face and our boxers needed to beat to advance their careers. They were the gatekeepers, so to speak. So we had a lot of those. We also had just some boxers we had a chance to see at the beginning of their careers before they became big, big stars in this business. One person in particular, I remember actually two of them, the Derrell brothers, Andre and Anthony Derrell, both made their pro debuts at Michael's 8th Avenue in Glen Burnie, Maryland. And Andre's gone on to win a super middleweight championship. Anthony's done well as also. So we've run the gamut. We've run the boxers that were gatekeepers who our boxers need to beat in order to get to the level they wanted to be. And we also had some great young boxers at the beginning of their careers who went on to go do very big things in the sport of boxing. So what I wanted to do this week is talk about my favorite 5 out-of-town boxers. Guys I love seeing. A couple guys I've gotten to know a little bit. I've gotten a chance to talk to them. And some of these guys are just really good boxers and really give our Beltway boxers fits. They really do. And some don't beat them all. Some win, have some big wins, and have given our boxers problems to the point where they really don't want to box anymore. And we've had some really good out-of-town boxers who we can say down the road that we saw them win. Hopefully, they'll go on to bigger and better things, and we can say we saw them in the Beltway against some of our boxers, and also just appearing in the Beltway. So we have 5 of those we want to talk about today. The first one is a guy that I've gotten to become pretty good friends with on Facebook. We always exchange pleasantries when he comes into DC and in the Beltway area to fight. And he's fought a number of our Beltway boxers. And he's just a lot of fun to box. And really, I think one boxer in particular, we'll talk about him in a moment, can really thank him in some ways for helping him get to where he is and where he has been in the last few years. Our first boxer is out of Philadelphia. And some of these boxers are from Philadelphia, so we give them some credit. But the first boxer we'll talk about is Greg Hotshot Hackett. He has been a cruiserweight. He's from Philadelphia. Now, his record as of right now, as of February of 2020, not a great record. 3 wins, 20 losses, 1 draw. And he has fought Beltway boxers no less than 11 times. And he's fought some of the best of our Beltway boxers. His first time he fought a Beltway boxer was on March 2nd, 2013. He took on Alantez Fox at Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland, and he lost by 6-round unanimous decision. Now, in every bout that he's faced the Beltway boxing in, he's never been knocked out. In fact, in his career, he's only been knocked out 1 time. And that bout took place against Basti Samir, who's an up-and-coming heavyweight at that time. He got knocked out in the first round. But other than that, he's never been knocked out other than that. So Alantez Fox went 6 rounds with him. Now, the boxer that I think really can thank Greg Hackett for the future success of his career is the former junior middleweight champion, Jarrett Hurd. Now, Jarrett Hurd, on April 20th, 2013 at the Showplace Arena up in Marlboro, Maryland, he defeated Greg Hackett by 6-round unanimous decision. And it was a bout where Jarrett Hurd did not look his best. Because Greg Hackett is so awkward that he looks very, very difficult to fight. And in that particular case, Hurd really had a tough time. I remember talking to him after the fight, and he really looked like he had a really, really tough time. He won on the scorecards pretty easily, but it really wasn't Hurd's best night. And Hurd would not have another bad night until he lost to Julian Williams. That basically was it. That really set Hurd on the path toward the junior middleweight, super welterweight championship, and he has done so well ever since. And I think it really kind of started when Hurd faced Greg Hackett. Hurd was 5-0 at the time, and he really, really was able to change his game a little bit, and Hurd was able to go on to win the championship. So that was about on April 20th, 2013, where Jarrett Hurd really could thank Greg Hackett for helping him in his career. In July 13, 2013, Greg Hackett faced Alexander the Great Johnson, and he lost a 6-round unanimous decision. Good bout there, but again, Johnson was pretty much in control of that bout. On December 14, 2013, Hackett lost a 6-rounder to Greg Newby out of this area. And again, Greg Newby pretty much dominated, but again, it was a fight where he had to work for the win. On February 21st, 2014, at the Shipley Arena in Westminster, Maryland, Hackett took on Jeremy Trussell. He lost to Jeremy Trussell by just a split decision. Now, in May 31st, 2014, he had a four-round majority draw against Issa Coulibaly. Now, Issa Coulibaly did not have the best of record. He's 1-5 going into the bout, and Hackett had a good time with him. And some people thought he may have won that fight, but they got to a draw there. Okay, and Hackett took a couple years off, and he fought. Then he fought Jose Mario Flores out of Springfield, Virginia. And he fought him at the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield on June 11, 2016. And he lost by 6-round disqualification. I remember that bout. And some of these bouts you can hear on the Boxing Beltway Belt Podcast Network, by the way. We have them archived. We did some play-by-play for that. And I think Hackett, that was probably the worst bout I saw Hackett fighting, because he was having difficulty, having problems with the referee. I believe the referee was Michelle Myers, and having real problems with her, and she ended up being disqualified. So that was on June 11th, 2016. On March 25th, 2017, Hackett lost a 4-round unanimous decision to Justin Bell. And I remember this bout so well because Justin Bell got an education in his pro debut that night. He was really good amateur, no question. He and his twin brother Jason, great amateurs, but he got a real nice lesson in that bout against Greg Hackett. He didn't win the bout, it was close, and Justin Bell did go on to win the bout. On September 22nd, 2018, Hackett lost a 4-rounder to Filip Stankovic at the Annandale Boys and Girls Club, the ABC Sports Complex, what that is, in Springfield, Virginia, sometimes known as the Annandale Boys and Girls Club. He lost that by 4 rounds. These are all on the road, by the way. From December 13th of 2013 all the way to June of 2019, Greg Hackett fought nothing but Beltway boxing and fought nowhere but this area, in all honesty. Okay, by the way, the Greg Newey fight was at the Convention Center in D.C. I didn't think I said that. Now, on April 20th, 2019, Hackett won a 4-round majority decision over Larry the Hitman Pryor. That was at Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland. I did the ring announcing for that bout. And I remember announcing Greg Hackett's name and how surprised and ecstatic that he was. So it was really kind of nice. But he deserved to win. He definitely deserved to win over Pryor. Hackett fought very well. Now, they fought a rematch on June 29, 2019 at the Gardens Ice House in Laurel, Maryland, and Pryor would win that bout by 4-round unanimous decision. So, again, Greg Hackett, awkward guy, really tough, hard to deal with, but he would give our boxers fits, and he went on to, again, enjoy and wow the crowd here in the Beltway. Our second boxer, also from Philadelphia, is a guy who not only wowed our boxers, sometimes he beat them. His name, Tennille Goytko. Tennille Goytko, outstanding boxer out of Philadelphia, currently has a record of 9-11-1 with 4 KOs. He's not fought since 2018, and that could be a issue there. I don't know if he's still fighting. He is. They don't have his date. He was born in 81, so he could be finishing his career. But he fought a number of guys. He would beat a number of guys here in the Beltway. First of all, his first time in the Beltway was at the Patapsco Arena in Baltimore, Maryland. And that was on April 12, 2014. And he scored a 6-round knockout win over Jeremy Trussell. And that was about where Jeremy Trussell pretty much decided he was not going to box anymore after that. It was really a tough bout for him. And he came back and he would defeat Trussell and knock him out. Tough 6-round bout there at the Patapsco Arena. Then on August 23rd, 2014, Goytko will be stopped in the 4th round by Damon Nicholson at the Patapsco Arena in Baltimore. And that was a tough bout for him there, but Nicholson fought very well that night. Then on May 14, 2016, at the Maryland State Fairgrounds in Timonium, Maryland, Devin Butcher out of Baltimore would lose a 6-round split decision to Tennille Goytko. And again, another bout where Goytko just made things very, very tough. He's not as awkward as Greg Hackett, but he made things very, very tough for boxers. And he defeated Butcher by 6-round split decision. That bout is also on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. Great bout. Then on November 11, 2016, Goytko probably had what I think is the biggest win of his career when he stopped Jerry Odom. And that was actually in Philadelphia, the 2300 Arena. And Goytko would win a five-round technical decision. Five-round stoppage. Odom cannot come out for the sixth round. That was a big win for Tennille Goytko and a huge loss for Jerry Odom. No question about that. And his final bout against the Beltway boxer was on April 14, 2017 at the MGM National Harbor Casino in Oxon Hill, Maryland. And Goytko would lose a 8-round unanimous decision to Travis Reeves. And so, again, Goytko gave us fits. Oh, my goodness. Gave us fits in the Beltway. And has had really, really tough wins. He had probably more wins than losses against Beltway boxers in this area. Our next guy comes out of Newark, New Jersey, and he is somebody who has fought really well. Have some bouts that he may have won that he didn't get credit for, but he fought in the Beltway 10 times. He fought 11 Beltway boxers in all, and he gave him fits. And again, another guy who's only been knocked out one time in his career. His record definitely not the best, but really every time you saw him, you knew he was going to give a very strong performance. His name, Stefan Mcintyre, out of Newark, New Jersey. His record overall 347-4, with one KO. And again, didn't get knocked out much. He got knocked out a few times, but didn't get knocked out once. I think I said he got knocked out one. He only has one knockout, I should say. That's what I should say there. But we can start his career against Beltway boxers on December 6, 2013 at Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland. We had a 4-round split decision draw against Mark the Monster Johns. And then on January 14th in 2014, same location, Rosecroft Raceway, Fort Washington, Maryland, he had a 4-round draw against Marcus Bates. Okay? So again, 2 draws right off the bat. He only had 4 draws in his career, but he had 2 draws against Beltway boxers. Then on January 17, 2015, one of the few times that McIntyre was knocked out was against Kevin Rivers Jr. And that was at the Convention Center, Washington, D.C., and Rivers scored a 3rd-round TKO there. July 18, 2015, at the Sphinx Club in D.C., Ronaldo Gaines would face Stefan Mcintyre, and he would Gaines would win by 6-round majority decision. The only time he fought a Beltway boxer outside the area was on September 26, 2015, where he take up a bout against Doty Boy Penalosa Jr., the son of the great flyweight Jerry Penalosa, and actually the nephew of Jerry Penalosa. And Penalosa won a 4-round unanimous decision at the Masonic Temple in Norfolk, Virginia. Back in the area on November 14, 2015, McIntyre would lose a 6-round unanimous decision to Alexandru Spartan Marine. That was at the ABC Sports Complex. And then on April 9, 2016, Stefan McIntyre would lose a 4-round unanimous decision to Cobia the Soldier Breedy back at the ABC Sports Complex. Again, bouts that McIntyre made tough. He wasn't going to get knocked out by and large, but he would make things difficult for Beltway boxers. Now, Cobia Soldier Breedy would face Stefan McIntyre again on June 4th, 2016, back at the ABC Sports Complex. And again, McIntyre would lose a 4-round unanimous decision. Then on March 25th, 2017, McIntyre would face up at Mark the Monster Johns once again in a 4-round bout. And for the second time, the two would go to a 4-round split decision draw. It was really weird, but they was back to the 4-round split decision draw. That was at the UDC Physical Activity Center on the campus of the University of the District of Columbia. He would go back to the ABC Sports Complex on October 14, 2017. He faced Thomas K.O. Snow, and Snow would beat McIntyre by 6-round unanimous decision. And then in his final bout against a Beltway boxer, McIntyre would take on Patrick Harris at the ABC Sports Complex on September 22nd, 2018, anniversary that just passed, and Harris would win by 8-round unanimous decision. So Again, a guy who would really be tough. Talking to him, good guy as well. And he would really cause Beltway boxers fits at times and would give them an idea where they are in their careers. So those three boxers were all gatekeepers. Now the next two boxers are guys who are still on their way up, and they are in good shapes to fight for titles, hopefully in the very near future. One is a guy I really love watching out of Houston, Texas. His name is O'Shaquie Foster, Icewater Foster, out of Houston, Texas. Currently, he's 17-2 with 10 KOs, and I know he's had some tough luck at several bouts. I know he lost to Samuel Tia back in November of 2015. Lost a tough 8-round split decision to Rolando Shinea at the Foxwoods in Massachusetts, Connecticut in 2016, July 2016. But the two times we saw him in the Beltway, he looked very, very good. One was on August 22nd, 2015, when he scored a first-round knockout over Frank Jordan at the North Hall East of the Market in D.C. And again, O'Shaquie Foster looked very, very good, and people were very high on him at that time. And then 2 fights later, he would lose to Samuel Tia. Now, on January 16, 2016, the ABC Sports Complex, O'Shaquie Foster would bounce back from that loss to Tia. He scored a 4th-round TKO over Rynell Griffin. So they didn't face any Beltway boxers yet, but they really wowed the Beltway boxing crowd in the area with their performances. O'Shaquie Foster did that. He is a super featherweight who still is looking for possibility at a world title down the road. Now, the last one we're going to talk about is a guy that actually fought this past week. He was on the same card as Cobia soldier Breedy's bout against Tuksot Kinta Nyambayar. Now, I really like this guy. I really like the way he fights, and he looked very strong in his last outing. No question about that. He's out of Philadelphia, comes from a boxing family. His name, Darren Boots Ennis. 26-0 now with 24 KOs coming off his 6th-round TKO victory over Juan Carlos Abreu at the Mohegan Sun Casino in Uncasville, Connecticut on September 19th. Now, every time that Darren Ennis has fought in this area, we haven't seen him long. But he put on great performances in this area. Again, I got a chance to see his family, his brothers fight as well. But Darren, they said he was the best of the bunch, and he is the best of the bunch. He's going places, no question about that. First time we had a chance to see Darren Ennis was on June 11, 2016 at the ABC Sports Complex, where he scored a first-round knockout over Deshaun DeBose. Then on August 12, 2017, at the Howard Theater in D.C., another first-round knockout over Ricardo Cano on that night. Then back at the ABC Sports Complex, Springfield, Virginia, against the only Beltway boxer, i.e. Bruce, and it scored a first-round knockout, TKO, in that bout on October 14, 2017. So, didn't get to see him long, but he put on some great performances. He's still doing it. He's getting better and better. And I think this is a guy that could really go places in the world of boxing. He's a welterweight in a good division. Darren Boots Ennis out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So those are 5 boxers that I really love seeing time and time again. So glad our matchmakers like Brian Dillon and Tony Jeter bring them in, promoters like Jeter and other promoters, Keystone and everybody, bring these guys in, Shabazz brothers, and they really do an outstanding job when they come here each and every time. It's just a wonderful time to see them. Very fortunate to see those great out-of-town boxers. Now, before we go, we have a couple of tributes to give out. The first one, again, this week, in fact, it happened the same day. We found out these two legends in their respective businesses passed away. The first one, unfortunately, because I'm a little younger and a little past my prime, a little before my time, I should say, I didn't get a chance to see him in person. And like many people my age, we heard his name and got to know him through the wonderful book that he wrote called I Am Third. And, of course, the movie that was made based on that book, the movie called Brian's Song. And we're talking about the Kansas Comet Gale Sayers of Chicago Bears. Now, this is a guy, now, you ever watch NFL films and see some of his exploits as far as running? He revolutionized pro football from an offensive end. He was so elusive. He was so fast. and just incredible. And I've seen there's a video out that shows all 6 of his touchdowns that he scored in one game. He still ties the record for that. As a matter of fact, he still holds many records in the NFL, including the most touchdowns by a rookie and the career kick return yards. He did everything. He was one of the epitomes of an all-purpose back. He ran, he caught, he returned kicks, he returned punts. He was incredible. Gale Sayers was unbelievable. And he had a relatively short career because he had bad knees. And his knees would give out on him at times. He had really tough knees. And of course, people know his story because of his friendship with Brian Piccolo, which is the subject matter of Brian's song and one of the key elements of his book, I Am Third. Now, Gale Sayers passed away primarily of dementia at the age of 77. And he had sued the NFL because of that. Of course, you remember a few years ago they had a lot of lawsuits concerning concussions, CTE, and Gale Sayers and his wife believed that happened to him. And that was a bit more rougher business then than it is now, because all the safety features are supposed to be a part of that, of football today. But it was a real pleasure to watch some of those films of Gale Sayers. He was a wonderful running back. And we mourn his passing at the age of 77. Now, the other one that hits a little closer to home for me from the pro wrestling side of the world, and he is the half of probably, and I don't think it's too many arguments that you'll get for that. I know other wrestlers have won more titles, other tag teams have won more titles, but nobody, and I think even those who have won more titles would say this, nobody revolutionized the world of tag team pro wrestling more than the Road Warriors. And Road Warrior Animal, also known as Joe Laurinaitis, passed away on the very same day as Gale Sayers at the age of 60. Died of natural causes. But if you have ever seen the Road Warriors in person, it is an experience unlike any other in professional wrestling. When you hear their theme song, now for many years their theme song was the song Iron Man by Black Sabbath. It fit them like a glove. And just from the moment the song starts, I can't say in here because I'll probably get muted if I do so I won't do it here. But from the moment that song starts up and you hear the voice there and you hear the beginnings of the guitars and all come down, and you see them coming down the aisle with their manager, Precious Paul Ellering, it was a sight to behold. I never forget, I was in the old Capitol Center, the USA Arena, and it was the Great American Bash 87, and the main event were the Four Horsemen, Ric Flair, Tully Blanchard, it was Lex Luger, and Arn Anderson against the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, and the Superpowers, Dusty Rhodes and Nikita Koloff. And it was an 8-man tag team bout in a cage. And it was televised. So you heard all the theme songs that night. And you heard that theme song of the Road Warriors coming down, leading the Road Warriors and Superpowers there. It was amazing. It was great. They had something in wrestling called the Road Warrior Pop. And Road Warrior Pop is just an insane excitement when a wrestler comes down the ringside. And the Road Warriors really had that everywhere they went. They were the only tag team to win the major tag team titles in the 3 big territories at that time, which was WWE, back then it was WWF, the NWA, and the AWA, the American Wrestling Association, and the National Wrestling Alliance. And they won all 3. They were tag teams of the year, 3 years from 1982 to 1985, and also 1988. They won in Japan. They won everywhere they went. And they faced great competition. The Superpowers, of course, were their tag team partners, but also they did face Dusty Rhodes. They turned on Dusty Rhodes. They faced him. They faced the Russians, Ivan and Nikita Koloff and Crusher Khrushchev. The fabulous ones from the AWA, Steve Keirn and Stan Lane. The Crusher and the Bruiser, the Crusher and Baron Von Raschke were the heavyweight tag team champions at the time. The Midnight Express. I don't think they faced the Rock and Roll Express. They did face the Midnight Express. And they would just dominate, go in the ring, and they just totally attacked their opponents. And, they talked about how if you saw the Road Warriors, if you saw your name on the sheet for the weekend's television taping, you saw them up against the Road Warriors, they would gasp in R. The enhancement talent would just gasp in R because they were stiff and they were hard. Now, Hawk passed away a few years ago. Michael Hegstrand, he passed away a few years ago at the age of 46. He had some tough times. He had some tough times with drugs, and he didn't turn his life around. Just before he passed away, he became a born-again Christian. Animal did not have, to my knowledge, any medical issues. They said it was natural causes. And he was using that gimmick up until basically the last couple of years. But they were phenomenal. The Road Warriors were phenomenal. I mean, I have tag teams who are my favorite tag teams. And my favorite tag teams are Tony Gurria and Rick Martel. And also the Rock and Roll Express. But there's no question in my mind. The greatest tag team in the history of this business, in my opinion, are the Road Warriors. Now, there's a book out that has the greatest tag teams in history, and the number one in that list were the Fabulous Kangaroos, Al Costello and Don Kent. Now, they put them the authors of the book put them number one because they really they really started tag team wrestling in sense. In fact, at that time, and since they were from Australia, they used to call it Australian tag team wrestling. But the Road Warriors took tag team wrestling to a higher level. There are so many Road Warriors wannabes and Road Warrior imitators over the years since they became popular that I can't even now. I mean, I know there's Demolition and a few others, but there's so many of them that I couldn't even really begin to list them all. And it was a great time to watch them. And I'm really sad about Joe Laurinaitis dying today, passing this week at the age of 60. He leaves, of course, his brother, John Laurinaitis, who was at one time, he was Johnny Ace. He's a flag bearer for the New Zealand sheep herders. He was also one half of the Dynamic Dudes with Shane Douglas, and he later became the head of WWE. He was, the TV head of WWE, not the real head, but the TV head of WWE. Also, his son, James Laurinaitis, played in the NFL for a while, played for the Los Angeles Rams and the New Orleans Saints. I believe he's out of football now, but he did play linebacker for them. Came out of Ohio State University, and so he leaves a legacy. He and his partner Mike Hegstrand Hawk leave a major legacy in the business of pro wrestling, and definitely mourn his passing at the age of 60 years old. But that will do it for another edition of the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. Remember, the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network can be heard in many different locations. We're looking for more podcast venues, so keep posted on that. And it's also brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. Go to freepainoffer.com. Buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief. Get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief. Now endorsed by two-time World Heavyweight Champion Big George Foreman. So try his knockout formula for real-time pain relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. Great weight loss tips, great jewelry, and great training methods are at Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Thanks for listening, everybody. My name is Gary Digital Williams. And thank you so much for joining us each and every week. And always remember to keep supporting the best boxing in the world. The boxing on the Beltway. Thanks for listening. Take care.